This is how to stone your safety on a CZ 455, and I don't have a 452, but I assume the 452 is the same. So first we have to disassemble the bolt. And sometimes I can do this with my finger, and sometimes I can't. There we go. Okay, I'm going to clean the bolt too. I'll just work on the safety right now. Okay. And the parts we're worried about are the corner here and this little wear surface here where it slides. So it's pretty much the corner right here. You got kind of a curve, and then there's this little cutout. You want to smooth the corner between the two. I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not. Right in here. And I just have a regular combination oil stone, and it's like a medium coarse. We're going to be using the medium side. I have a medium fine, which I normally use, but that one up and ran off today, so we're just going to use this one. I just put a drop of oil on the corner of the stone like that. You don't need much. And then you take your safety here, and you get this little corner on here. You just kind of work it back and forth a little bit. Just enough to take the edge off. And you can look and see how it's doing. You just keep tooling away at it a little bit. It doesn't really take much at all. I've already worked on this a little bit. I'm just showing you how to do it here because I got to take a little more off it anyway. And you can go this way to start with, because it's easier to take material off without hurting anything else around it. But then I like to finish off with just a couple of little strokes here like this, just to smooth it off. Okay, and we could do a little bit more here. Just take a little off the corner. And again, the only corner we're working on is right here. It comes across and it goes into this dip. You don't want to mess with this. It's just this one. That's the only one we're working on. Okay. And that looks better. What I want to do is take off a little bit of the preload. So you take the radius on the corner down, but you still want to have enough dip in here to hold it once you flip it on. You put that safety on, it'll come across just like this, and it'll pop into that curve there. You want enough corner left here to hold it, but you don't want so much that you get a lot of preload and then it snaps back. Just a nice tug on it and it'll slide right in. That one is stoned. And to put it back in, all you do is you make sure your bolt is in upright position and the handle is down. You put your retainer back in here and you push it in until you see the hole, and then pop this down in until it seats all the way. Some people use like the corner of a table. Like this would be the corner of the table, and they push down to get it in there. But this slot has to be up. To get it out, you just push it in and pull the safety out. But I'm going to be cleaning my bolt today, because it's been a little while. And if you haven't cleaned a bolt before, you can watch and learn how to clean your bolt too. And I'll also point out a few things I've done to make the bolt smoother. This is firing pin spring. As you can see, it's pretty darn straight. That's the original spring. I've never had any problems with it. again, this is a 455. So the bolt is going to look a little bit different. Okay, here's another thing I did to the bolt handle. You might want to compare yours as I'm doing this, just to see. But on the back, there's a little divot right here on the bottom, and when it's in the upright position, it's right on the bottom, and that catches the bolt. When you pull it up, you'll feel it click into that. And you don't want to mess with this side over here, but what I did on this side was I rounded it off and made it more of a slope, because when you open the bolt, this cocking lug here rides up the ramp, and this is the bottom now. It rides up the ramp, and then it sits in this little divot here when you open the bolt. That holds your bolt handle up so it doesn't fall down when you're running the bolt. And when you close it in the stock configuration, it grabs right here on the corner. And what I did was I rounded that off so it just slides right up and over and then down. I didn't take off any material over here. All I did was just round this off because it was a really sharp corner. You might be able to see it. This is kind of sharp here, and this one's rounded off nice and smooth here. It really helps with how the bolt feels, and it doesn't jump so much. And then what I did on the bottom of the cocking lug was I took the corner of the stone and I would just run it a few times like this to round this off, because it forms a burr there from that sharp corner. Once you remove that sharp corner, you have to take the burr off, and this right here is perfectly smooth. My nail doesn't catch on it. Nice and shiny, no problems. And then you can polish the bottom of your firing pin here. And I think that was it. I smoothed up the edges here, the sides, because they were kind of rough, and just run them across the stone a few times on the corner of the stone. I think that was about it. Polished the ends of the spring, lube them, and bluing is wearing off the bolt handle. But I don't care. It just shows that it's been used. And then on the bolt here, bottom of the bolt where it feeds across the magazine, some people have problems with it shaving, and it's this point right here that shaves. It's this corner, because it's sharp from the factory. And all I did was put it on the stone, and I would start at about here, make sure it's nice and square, and just run it down until it's flat. You don't need a very steep angle, just make it at least as steep as the ammunition that sits underneath it. And that way it runs across nice and smooth, and just do a few passes just to round the end off. And again, you probably can't see it on the camera, but it does have a little bit of a round edge on it, just enough to slide over, and it doesn't cause any damage anymore. I also rounded the flats here just because it was feeling a little bit rough. And I also had to modify the rear of the extractors here, because they weren't able to open past the edge of the face here. They were staying inside this cutout for the rim, and they should be able to pull back past that, because it didn't like to close, because it would close on the ammunition. These were unable to open up. And so what I did was I changed the back side of them here. Normally I'd use a screwdriver for that. Okay. And these sit in a little hole here, and they open up like this. So all I did was take off a little bit of metal off the back side here, so they could open up just a little bit further. So you just take off just a little bit back here. Don't take it off the front, or it'll pull forward and it won't hold your ammunition tight. I did the same on both of them. Ran it over the stone a little bit because there were some burrs there. Just lay it down flat and just run it back and forth like that just a few times just to take the burrs off. And I also made sure there weren't any burrs in here. Clean it all out good. Polish the bottom of this a little bit. Didn't take a lot. Again, just set it on the stone. Make sure it's flat and just back and forth a little bit just to polish it up. I did remove burrs out of here, smooth these up with a very, very small file and a piece of sandpaper. Took the burrs out of there. And that's about it. There's usually just a few little tiny microscopic burrs along the inside of here where the sear slides. So clean that up a little bit if you have to. There's not really too much to worry about there. Make sure this corner here is clean. Sorry for the sniffles. I got a bit of a cold this morning. And I'll clean the inside of here out. Get back in there. Run this down through here. Firing pin hole's pretty clean. Scrub the face of the bolt off here. Just use the tip of the firing pin here. Take that out. A bit sharper here. Cleaning this, taking the bolt apart, you don't really need any tools. You can use the parts that come with it. Trying to get the crud out of there. There, nice and clean. Got my fingers dirty. A nice and clean bolt face. Make sure this bottom trough here gets cleaned out. Not super important, but it does keep grit from falling into your action. Make as if anything gets into the firing pin slot, it should fall out through there. When you lubricate the bolt, don't overdo it because it'll attract grit. But I do like to oil the bolt itself, and then I leave these dry, the extractors, but I grease the cam surfaces and the spring, the ends of the spring, and I also grease inside here and the safety, and it works super smooth. Feels like glass. Wipe them down. Get any crud out from the corner here under the extractors. The spring off again. Get the old grease off there. You can see I got some old grease on here. I just use white lithium grease. It's really slippery and it's waterproof. Coat everything with it. Less rust. Never had a problem with rust, but I don't want to start. And down in here, you can clean that out. It's a good idea to clean that out from the factory. It's usually pretty cruddy. Just make a little paper towel tool here. Run it down there, you can see it comes out a little bit dirty. And that's that. Bolt's clean. I grab my grease, because I forgot to do that. Put it back together. Alright, here's some grease. My needle. I use a little needle sometimes if I can't get down in here. Just run it around the groove here and get the rest of the stuff out. I'm getting a little bit here. The extractors are pretty sharp if you use those right. Now, take it right out. Some people might say, why use the extractor to clean out your bolt? Well, why not? It works. You don't have to carry as many tools with you. And you can do it in the middle of nowhere. Alright, that's it. Okay. And this is just white lithium grease. And I've got a tub of this, and just refill the tube when the tub gets, or refill the tube when it gets low. So, first things first, this goes in here, just like that. That's your firing pin. And I'm going to oil the surfaces of that. And this is a mix of oil I mixed. It's part Marvel oil, part 3-in-1, and part hot sauce real oil. Works really well. The tip of the firing pin is clean. So I'm just going to put just a little oil on here. Spread it around a little.
What are you doing?
A little bit back here.
What are you doing, Daddy?
Good morning, bud.
What are you doing?
Cleaning my bolt. And then that goes down in there and just kind of wiggle it around as you put it in, let the oil soak in. And that's super smooth. Pull it out just a little bit.
That's a short barrel.
Yeah, it might be.
It is.
Okay.
Not like all your others. Not like all your other guns.
Okay, but I'm making a movie right now, so you're going to have to run along, okay? Now grab just a dab of grease here, just on the end of the needle. Toothpick will work fine too. And put a little bit right around here, where it pushes up against the back of the bolt here. Just like that. And I smear some inside. And you just go around in a circle and kind of spread it around. Make it kind of even so it doesn't squish out when you put everything together. Alright, got that. Then we got the handle that goes on this way. Just kind of like that. That's nice and smooth. Alright. Then we can take this, slide it into here.
Daddy,
Oh, bud.
did you return to buying back the Tinas?
No, I didn't. It's probably upstairs.
Well, I told Grandma she could watch it with Grandpa.
Oh, I don't know where it is, bud. I'll grease these lugs back here. Just the sides. Just a little bit on each side. Just enough. So it'll spread out and push it in. Okay. That should do it. spring. Just grease the ends of that a little bit. That'll spread around. I'll do a little dab in there. Drop that down in here. And then we get this. I grease the ends of the string, but I always put a little grease on here anyway. On the tip here. And then, if you want, you can grease the outside. I normally grease the inside here. Just because it sits around the safety and I don't want anything wearing. Put a little bit on the sides here. Wherever it touches anything. See a little bit of silver here. It wore in before I did my bolt work when I bought the gun. And I don't really do too much toward the back because it'll eventually work out the back and then you might get it on your thumb. A little bit of oil back there will usually work. We got that there. Now, I'm going to grease the safety. I usually give it a good coating. There's a lot of pressure on this thing. Make sure you get it on the front and back, mostly top and bottom down here. You got a little flat here. Grease that up real nice. I like to get a good coat on it because it doesn't move very much, so it's hard for it to spread it around by itself. Wipe off the tip there. Alright. Let's see what we can get done here. Push it in further. A little off there. Okay. I'm just going to grab something to push on that. Yeah, extreme example, I know. I'm just going to push on the corner of this to push this in. Up on there. Alright. I don't know if you can see this or not. You just push it in. And you set your safety down in all the way. That's it. Wipe down the extra that's showing, because you don't want to get your fingers all gritty. Nice and smooth. You see the cocking lug rides up and then sits right in there, and it's not really jumpy at all. Just nice and smooth. Get some more grease. A little bit on the tip there. And I like to put a little bit right in here. And grease that lug. That makes it even smoother. A little bit back across there. See that? Carries that grease right up into that trough. The whole surface is coated. Wipe off an extra. And then we can go like this, put a little bit of grease on the safety. It doesn't take much. Most of it will get pulled off when you touch it anyway, because you'll probably end up touching it. Alright, lift that up, down, up, down, nice and smooth. Alright, put these back in here. This one goes on this side. This one goes on this side. The sharp one always goes on the right. And this goes on. And sometimes you have to use the needle to kind of pull the spring out over the extractor body. And that's it. That's the bolt reassembled, lubed, cleaned. That's it. I like to wipe it down and get my oils off it, because those will start rust. Raise the bolt up. And I'm going to put just a little bit of oil on here. Just a little bit, not much. Normally I'd clean out the receiver too. I'm just doing the bolt. Just a little bit on the tip. You don't want much on the tip at all, really. If any. I do some. And just kind of smear it around with paper towel. Paper towel will absorb most of it. And just kind of rub it around. That way it doesn't pile up. If you don't rub it out a little bit, you'll get a big ridge of oil across here when you close your bolt. And you might get that anyway sometimes. Just close up the oil. Get that out of the way. Get that out of the way. Move this stuff. Like glass. This around here. I don't know if you can see it too good here, but nice and smooth. Like glass. That's how you stone your safety and clean your bolt. And I can hang on to this nice and easy. Nice and easy. Open, closed. Or on, off. No more jumping. Just nice and smooth. That's it.